Hi, and welcome to a very special episode of Least Important Things. Today we're discussing the 2005 Christmas classic, The Family Stone. And with me is a fan favorite of the pod, my wife, Audrey Ferris. Welcome.
Hello. It's great to be back.
If you've never listened to this show before, welcome. At Least Important Things, we rewatch and discuss movies like we're doing today. And there's also essay episodes about sports, food, music, pop culture, and everything in between. Now, typically, our rewatch episodes, we cover franchises like Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Pirates of the Caribbean, and most recently, the Bourne franchise with our friend Mike Wynn. But we're taking a break for the holidays this month, and we decided, in honor of the holiday season, to rope in Audrey to discuss one of our favorite Christmas movies that we watch together every year. The Family Stone. Are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
But before we dive into The Family Stone, I reached out to you, the listeners, the viewers, friends of the pod, and asked what your favorite Christmas movie is of the season. If you want to participate in the show in the future, please subscribe, like, do all the things. You can follow me on Instagram at Luke H. Ferris, at Least Important Things on TikTok. You can learn more about the show, subscribe to our newsletter, leave a voicemail, leastimportantthings.com, or follow me on Letterboxd at Luke H. Ferris. And Audrey's on Letterboxd as well.
A little rusty. There's some tumbleweeds blowing around in my profile.
Your relationships to Letterboxd is mine to Goodreads and vice versa. I don't really update my Goodreads. You don't really update your Letterboxd. I'm obsessive with Letterboxd. You're obsessive with Goodreads. Mm-hmm. It's kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. All right, ready to hear what friends of the pod said that their favorite Christmas movies are?
Yes, let's hear
we
it.
have a good range. I'm pretty excited. Chloe said Little Woman, 1994 version.
Winona.
With Winona. Vivi, she's a friend of the pod, she said Sissy, which is an international movie I've never heard of.
Yeah,
it's about a Russian princess.
I don't know that either, and I think we should put it on our list.
It's definitely on the list. Thanks, Vivi. Aaliyah, friend, said Home Alone, the classic.
So good.
Which was filmed probably a couple miles away from where we are right now. We could make a voyage to the Home Alone house.
Not really my thing.
No. It's interesting that it comes up for sale every 5-6 years, and it is a pretty massive house.
Yeah, it's just a little too gimmicky. I wouldn't want to live in a house where everybody knows what it looks like.
Especially this time of year. Like, that would be a full-time job probably to just deal with people walking by your house, taking photos, taking videos this time of year.
Sounds terrible.
And the expectation of just like decorating.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much. I guess it would be like if you own the Myers house in Pasadena for Halloween, I think it's a real estate agency now, but it's that burden of owning a piece of cinema history. Mm. Anyways, moving on. Tucker said, and he gave us some categories. He said child, The Polar Express, family, Elf, and then adult, Christmas Vacation. So he gave us 3 of his favorites categorized. So I think...
Is that depending on who he's watching with?
Yeah, so...
Or phases of his life? It
could be both. I'm assuming the Polar Express is watching with his kids.
Right, because that wasn't around when we were kids.
It was, yeah, we were probably right at the edge where we didn't grow up with it. We were tweens, probably. Caitlin said Elf once again. Friend Lise, he just asked this question: is Clear and Present Danger a Christmas movie? And you know what, Lee? Anything could be a Christmas movie if it's in your heart and you truly believe in the spirit of the movie.
The reason for the season?
Whether there's a scene that takes place during Christmas, it's centered around Christmas. I don't think we need to have clear lines on what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. I think as long as there is Christmas associated in the movie, or you feel like it's a Christmas movie, make it a Christmas movie. Whether it's Die Hard, it doesn't matter. So yes, Lee, Clear and Present Danger, it's a Christmas movie to you, to us. Just make it as part of your seasonal tradition.
Very generous of you.
Yes, I'm very open this time of year. You know, I used to be a Grinch. I used to be a Scrooge. I think I've taken a turn. Mm-hmm. And you can listen about that in last year's Christmas episode if you want to learn more. Nettie said White Christmas. That's my mother. It's her favorite Christmas movie. Now that one, we'll get into it. That is the movie that I watched as a kid growing up, and it was very much centered to the family. We had it on while we were making Christmas cookies. We're actually going to watch it tonight at our local theater, Music Box Theater.
Sing along.
sing along, so it should be fun. Gotta loosen up the pipes here.
I didn't grow up with
Bing
it.
Crosby.
I don't think I had seen it until you wanted to watch it together. And it's grown on me.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of my Barry's Irish tea. So just cozy on up, friends. I mean, we're getting cozy. We've got our puppy Sai with us. We got our Christmas tree. If you're watching on YouTube in the background, we got our tea. It's just a cozy morning here.
Still waking up a little.
That's what happens when your spouse does podcasting for fun. You're forced to podcast on a Saturday morning during the holidays.
No, it's nice. You got a good setup here.
Jim said Christmas Vacation again and Die Hard, of course. Brooks and Spencer said It's a Wonderful Life. And Kurt said Eyes Wide Shut, which we just watched this week. I forced Audrey to watch Eyes Wide Shut.
Not forced. If I had really
Coerced.
known what it was, you might have had to force me.
Yeah.
But
I kept it vague.
I'm glad that I know what it is now for all future references.
Yeah, when people say it was like an Eyes Wide Shut party, you kind of know.
Yeah, that's scary. Nothing about this movie or that movie is Christmas. So Curtis, thank you for giving Luke a good chuckle when that came in, because it's very funny.
It's definitely not a family-friendly holiday movie, but it is cozy. There's a lot of everything is lit by Christmas lights, which is...
Wait, what do you mean?
It's not a family-friendly...
What do you mean lit by Christmas lights?
There's Christmas lights throughout the movie. It's very soft lighting visually.
I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice that?
It was set during Christmas?
Yeah, you didn't notice that?
I don't know. I think I was very overstimulated.
Your brain was racking through what was going on, the acting, the choices.
Oh, okay. I have so many thoughts.
And to wrap up, Andy Warson, friend of the pod, said Jim Carrey's The Grinch. He said it's just an unreal string of hilarious quotable moments. He said specifically jury duty, blackmail, pink slip, chain mail, eviction notice, which is iconic scene.
Never got that as a kid, but it was so catchy, so you would say it. And now understanding, like, that is so dark.
It is a dark thing. That's like the worst thing the Grinch has ever done, is to like send those fake messages in the mailbox.
Eviction notice.
Jury duty, blackmail.
Brutal.
Oh, all right. We're heading into the back of the VHS description. So, Audrey, if you didn't know, our new format, this is part of the new format, is to give an overview of the movie as if you're in a video store. Let's just say, it's a cold December night. You're walking to the video store and you're just searching through the aisles. You're like, I want a Christmas movie, but I don't want like a kid's movie. I want an adult movie, but I don't want Eyes Wide Shut. And then you come across this movie. It's called The Family Stone.
Did you ask the person working at the video store for help?
No, because they would recommend Eyes Wide Shut. That's for sure. They would recommend that. Or Black Christmas, which is another one of my favorite Christmas movies, but it's a horror movie. It's very cozy, but it is a horror movie.
My mom always would ask for recommendations for the family, and we watch some of the weirdest
God
movies.
bless her. My mother-in-law, Jackie, just so
Trusting.
so trusting to the video store clerks who are probably consuming substances and have very obscure tastes. But the trust is there, and I love that. It's beautiful. Do you want to read the back of the VHS/DVD description?
Yeah, I'm very curious about what it says. So, corporate executive Meredith Morton, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, is as uptight and ultra-conservative as her pinstriped designer suit. Her boyfriend Everett Stone's, played by, how do you say his name, Dermot Mulrooney?
Yeah.
So her boyfriend's family is as relaxed and quirky as their aging New England colonial. So when Meredith ventures out of Manhattan to meet Everett's clan, it's no wonder her arrival is met with all the enthusiasm of a nasty nor'easter. But one surprise guest, 2 shocking romances, and several beers later, Meredith's icy exterior begins to thaw, and she may just melt the hearts of the family stone.
Wow, that's really good. That's a good one.
It's really good. I love all of the references, the nor'easter, the New England colonial. They nail the feeling.
Yes, the aura.
Well done. Who wrote this movie, or who made this?
I don't know. Movie? I had to look up online the specific DVD and then find that someone took a screenshot or a photo of the back of the DVD. So look it up. It's great. It's a lost art. That art. It is a lost art. All right, ready for some background?
Dream job.
Dream job, definitely. Ready for some background stuff?
Yes.
The Family Stone was released on December 16th, 2005. Audrey, are you ready for this?
I don't know.
That weekend, so think about it's December 16th. That weekend, you could have seen these movies in the theater.
Okay.
So these are all movies that came out in November or December of 2005. Can you think of some off the top of your head?
I'm guessing The Grinch.
No, close.
What year would that have been?
I think that's 2000 or 2001.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you ready for this list? This is crazy.
Yeah.
The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, King Kong, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Walk the Line, Memoirs of a Geisha, Pride and Prejudice, Just Friends, Brokeback Mountain, Syriana, and the Polar Express.
That's crazy.
This is all in November leading up to December 16th. So in theory, you could watch any of these movies in the theater that weekend.
Wow. All have really stood the test of time, like all still relevant.
It's just crazy. That was a peak of the holiday release season. Like, it's so crazy to think about that now. We live in a very different movie era where movies are released in theaters, and it's kind of a big deal if they even make it to theaters, let alone have this many movies coming out during the season. But this was before streaming. This was really the peak theater experience. So
it's really interesting because this year, this like Christmas, that Bob Dylan movie is coming out, which is done by the same person who did Walk the Line.
You're right. Wow, nice catch there.
Thank you.
He also did Indiana Jones, and he also did Girl Interrupted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also released on Christmas is Nosferatu by David Eggers. So can't wait to see that as a family. I'm really looking forward to it.
No comment.
This movie was filmed in Riverside, Connecticut, Greenwich, Connecticut. That's where the actual house is, which you can see the exterior of the house. You can drive by. Again, another one of those, like, if you buy that house, probably not as much as the Home Alone house here in Chicago.
No, definitely not.
A little bit more obscure, but you definitely are living up to an aura this time of year. It was also filmed in Madison, New Jersey, specifically at Drew University and Fairleigh Dickinson University, where a lot of the bus scene happens, and I believe
Walking to the Inn.
Yeah, so definitely East Coast universities. Mm-hmm. And then also the interiors, a lot of that was filmed in Culver City Studios in California. The budget of the movie was $75 million. Domestically, it made just over $176 million, or just $76 million, and then worldwide $92 million for a total of $176. So pretty incredible movie from a budget standpoint.
Yeah.
It made a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's just very different today. You would not see this. We'll talk about it later, but for that movie to come out in theaters during all those movies were coming out and still make a lot of money, it's impressive. It was written and directed by Thomas Bazuka. I'm going to destroy his last name. Thomas Bachuka. He created a movie called Big Eden. That was kind of his only thing beforehand, and he hasn't really done a lot since. This is kind of like his big budget, most well-known thing. He co-produced the TV show Fargo. That's kind of probably the thing he's done since that people know. He also wrote the movie. So this is really his piece de resistance.
I'm a huge fan.
I know. The music is by Michael Giannaccio, who did the Jurassic World franchise. He's a really prominent composer right now, one of the biggest composers in the industry. But back then, he was just starting out, and his score is incredible. I think it adds to the timelessness of this movie. All right, the stars. That's what we're all here for. Diane Keaton as Sybil Stone, Rachel McAdams as Amy Stone, Dermot Mulroney as Everett Stone, Craig T. Nelson as Kelly Stone, Luke Wilson as Ben Stone, Elizabeth Reusser as Susanna Stone / Susanna Stone Truesdale, Tyrone Garando as Thad Stone, Brian White as Patrick Thomas, Claire Danes as Julie Morton, Sarah Jessica Parker as Meredith Morton, and Paul Schneider as Brad.
Wow, an absolutely star-studded cast.
Incredible cast. We'll get into it. All right, here's some facts that you can fact check. I'm not going to do the work for you. The writer and director put the 9 cast members through several weeks of rehearsals so they would feel bonded and well enough during camera where you could really feel the sense of camaraderie. So more of like a theater style preparation. This also included a crash course in American Sign Language. This is one of those prominent films that has American Sign Language. And I think there is some controversy because it's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
The sign language is not well executed from like the actor's standpoint, but kind of the defense of that, and I'm not an expert, is that this is what it would look like for a normal family that would do it.
There would more casual.
You would have
they
people,
know each other's nuances.
Yeah, and you would
better.
have some people that are more proficient at it, some people who are a little bit more sloppy because maybe they only do it around the family.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it seems like it's Thaddeus, right?
Yep.
That he does a lot of lip reading as well.
Yes.
Because he's able to communicate with Meredith and she doesn't do any American Sign Language.
That's right.
So I always had that impression.
The writer and director tips his hat twice to what appears to be his favorite holiday movie, which is Meet Me in St. Louis, 1944, which is on the television at kind of that Christmas Eve scene. And then in the intro with the postcards, that kind of unique style, that is an homage as well. But I think that's also, again, what makes this movie timeless is that intro with the holiday postcards with the stars' names.
Agreed.
Rachel McAdams worked with both Wilson brothers in 2 different movies that came out this year. Luke Wilson, of course, in this film, and then in The Wedding Crashers, Owen Wilson.
Wow.
What
That's a lot of Wilson.
Wow. We did get one wow in this movie.
We did?
Yeah, right when he sees Meredith for the first time, he goes, wow. It's great. All right, moving into OT's overall thoughts. All right, Audrey, can you tell me the first time you watched this movie? Because prior to us meeting, I don't think I had ever seen this movie. This was really your family's Christmas movie, it seems like.
I don't know. We'd have to ask them. I'm not sure that, they would all say that. We had it on DVD. I don't know where it came from. I don't remember us all sitting down and watching it. I don't think that was the case. It's not a movie that I think my dad or brother probably claims. I don't even know if I watched it with my family. I might have watched it alone and with friends, and it would have been high school.
Yeah, that feels right up your alley. That's accurate to who you were. But you had, again, we've talked about this different episodes. I've talked about this on the show. When you have DVDs in your home, that was a time where you're either watching movies on television, you're going to the theater, 2005, or you have the DVD and it's like, well, we're going to watch that because that's what we have.
I think that my sister and I loved Sex and the City when we were in high school.
Right.
So we were fans of Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yep.
That was probably part of the connection. There might have also been a DVD sale or something, because now that I know Walk the Line came out the same time, that was another very, very beloved DVD in the house that I used to watch constantly. So these were my 2.
That says a lot about you, that these are the 2 movies as a teenager you were watching.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I really love this movie, and as we have started the tradition in our own family to watch this every year, I loved it the first time we watched it together, which is probably when we were dating. But I think if you've ever been in a situation where you're an in-law, where you have a family member that's bringing a partner or introducing during the holidays, this movie really captures all the idiosyncrasies of those family gatherings in a home as adults. It's this, we've talked about it before. Obviously, there's a kid in this movie. There's kids that are coming, but there's this era of families when you have adult children coming back home that's really special and unique.
You mean pre-kid,
Pre-kids,
and pre-partners?
Yeah,
maybe a partner here or there, but not
a smattering.
Everything's. The club has not been closed yet.
Yeah, because eventually it really becomes about the kids. It's all about the kids. This movie is right. They're right on the edge of that, right? You have
some single.
You have
siblings.
some single siblings. You have some siblings that are potentially going to get married, or you have siblings. Thad and Patrick are in the adoption process,
and the one child is not the center of attention. She's not that young.
No.
So I think that adds something different to the mix.
Yeah. So it's one of those movies where I think anybody who's been in that situation, or it's happened to you, no matter who you are, you can pick out things that are like, oh yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, I get that. And you can connect with different characters, and especially different moments in this movie. And just the aura of this movie, the home coming in, I really like that they all arrive on December 23rd.
Right.
They all come in December 23rd. They have pizza that night.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Classic.
they spend pretty much they spend all of Christmas Eve that day preparing the dinner. That's really the main focus. Then they watch a movie Christmas Eve, and I'm not counting the whole scenario of the movie. I'm just talking about the logistics of the week of like the holiday weekend or the holiday time.
Mm-hmm.
So they have dinner, then they watch a Christmas movie. Christmas Day they have presents. They're planning breakfast, and then they have another dinner later in the night, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a very simple. They play charades. Like it's very simple and organized, but it makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
Pizza and game night was the
first
combo.
night.
Yeah.
That is, and we'll get into it once we get into
Classic.
Besties and Leasties. But it's just something that I've always appreciated, that it really captures that essence.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this movie is really rare because it balances comedy and drama delicately. There's some really laugh out loud moments, but then there's some drama, specifically with Sybil, because the whole premise of this movie is that everyone's coming home. The mother is sick again. Seems like she's battled breast cancer in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of this is her last Christmas. It's
the family's last Christmas.
It's not stated. And then you have this outsider coming in, and that's the whole tension of the movie. But I think there is a rare balance that's really hard to strike, and a lot of other movies don't do it well, or it's a struggle. And this movie really has stood the test of time for me that way.
Isn't that so true that with the mom being ill, it's a very fragile setting and there's a lot of emotion. And I guess they don't know for sure that she's sick again, but it seems to be understood, or there's worry about it.
Yeah, especially when you rewatch this movie over and over again, you can pick up the little things very quickly.
Right, but that almost territorialness that Amy has, she does not want Meredith there. And I always kind of attributed that to Amy being, the youngest. She's kind of a punk. She's got a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah.
But really, when I think about it now, I would probably be, and I know we've done this before, and I don't know if it's part of the podcast today, but you're sort of like, who reminds you of who in your family? I've never identified with Amy, but I do get where she's coming from. I would be so annoyed if my brother brought some random person, or random to you, who just didn't even really seem that they wanted to engage and changed, the dynamic of the family, which is very fragile, like I said. That would be so frustrating.
Yeah, and especially because she already met her, so she kind of knows what she's about.
That's
she's already
true.
made a
she's
judgment.
Like, she's not going to fit in. And I mean, the holidays are very sacred too.
They are.
And like what you were saying of how they're in this evolution of the family period.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really resistant to that evolution. It's like the older sister seems considerably older. It seems that she's been married for a long time. She has an 8-year-old or something like that. Yeah. So you're kind of at peace with that. But then for the next change, and it seems really disruptive. I mean, I feel for Amy. I never used to.
That's interesting. We've always talked about that. And again, there's not oh, that's exactly like my family. But we know it changes. It's a big deal when you bring somebody home, especially at the holidays or the first time you spend the holidays with somebody. I think there's also family dynamics where Everett is supposed to be kind of the all-star, like the golden child. I don't think I was ever that, but like my brother was, but you came into our family first. So it's like, but I understand that.
I remember though, when your brother brought his wife, girlfriend, Amy home, it was for Christmas.
That's
right.
When
we first met her?
I might have been. Yeah, it was.
I was a big very, very protective of her.
So you were the antithesis of Amy in this movie. You were like protective of her.
I was worried.
Yeah. I guess you were the Patrick.
Oh my! Luke,
you were the Patrick.
Luke,
we'll talk about Patrick.
That is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
You were the Patrick to our sister-in-law Amy.
I wasn't, but I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I was not washing all the dishes and putting your mom to bed.
No.
I wasn't at Patrick's level. I mean, we all need to strive to be Patrick, but That means so much. Thank
Patrick
you.
is the only one that really reaches out to Meredith and seems to like allow her to participate in some way. He does.
Do they have dialogue together?
Well, they cook together.
You're right. We don't
the
really
strata.
see it.
We don't
but
see
he does
it.
defend her.
Yeah.
To Sybil.
Yeah, he does. He does. And then to Amy, he was
But
like,
with so few words, Patrick, he doesn't need to say.
he doesn't need to say much. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Another dynamic is the Everett coming home. He's wearing the tie. His siblings are making fun of him. Amy's like, take that tie off. Like, and Sybil says, take that damn tie off. Like,
your tie's crooked.
I understand that, like, where you leave and you come back and maybe you are a different person. You're with somebody. You've grown up. There's that dynamic with coming home
They
for the
know
holidays.
you as who you were in a different phase, and you're, changing into this new relationship or into yourself. I mean, you got to give a little something. I mean, that would be so funny.
It would be
if
funny.
you came home in a tie.
That's true. If I would have come home with, just wearing a tie, like at
Are we
family
allowed
dinner.
to swear?
Yeah, I can swear.
Okay, I was just gonna say, there's no other way. Like, you would just get so much shit.
I would. That's right. So that feels very real. Like if
Also, who am I? Do you think? I feel like I think I'm a celebrity on a talk show or something. Can we swear?
Yeah,
on live
no, you're
TV?
like,
Who am
it's
I?
like
I love
it's my
it.
show. Least
I love
important
it.
things. But yeah, it is funny. Like I think we've said that there's a scene where in the Christmas Eve morning where Meredith is wearing all black coming in to get coffee, and you're
Iconic.
that's me. Not in the relationship dynamics, but it's very much like when you would come, home from my family, you would be wearing maybe all black or pulled together, and then my family was all wearing their pajamas, and like it maybe wearing their pajamas until like past lunch. So it like there's those little moments that we
because
connected.
when you're not a part of the nuclear family organically, and you maybe haven't grown into it, right? Because over time you get absorbed. But at the beginning, it's not comfortable. And I understand Meredith. I wouldn't be comfortable, and I haven't been, being at my most vulnerable, which is totally groomed and in your pajamas around people that you just met.
Yeah.
So
it's understandable.
There's so many accuracies in this movie.
All right, we're going to get into more of this when we get into the Leasties and Besties. A couple other notes to have. This is really peak Sarah Jessica Parker, peak Rachel McAdams. The Notebook came out in 2004. Sex and the City ended its season run the year prior. So Sarah's getting into kind of that movie phase of her career. Rachel McAdams is a huge star.
Which is interesting because she's not the lead.
No, and that's the one thing about this movie that's interesting in time, where Rachel McAdams gets the last shot of the movie and the most sentimental part of the movie.
She is a very important character.
She is, but when you first meet her, you're like, oh, this is a one-note character. It's the annoying sister, but she's carrying the emotion, and she's really holding it tight, and she doesn't let it go until Meredith gives her the photo. But we'll get to that. I want to bring in another voice, our good friend Dana, who is also a huge fan of this movie. I was talking to him on the phone, and I was like, hey, we're going to record this. And he's like, oh, it's funny because I'm rewatching this week. Like, it was on his, his schedule.
We watched it with him last year.
We watched it with him last year. So I had him email just his overall thoughts so he could be part of the OTs. So here's Dana's thoughts on The Family Stone. So, The Family Stone is one of my favorite Christmas movies. Things to love. The house. It's so special and feels real. Diane Keaton as the matriarch. Craig T. Nelson. A dynamic duo. The cast was really top-notch. A gay, interracial, inter-auditory couple. They are the best. The town. Love it. Feels like a place I'd visit for a weekend. The emotion. The family gradually discovering that Mama Stone won't be around next Christmas. Chef's kiss. Tears for this frosty heart. The one thing that's always out in this movie is the black baby conversation. Aged like a banana. Ha 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 ha. Cheers. Thank you, Dana. That is a great setup. All right, let's move on to Leasties and Besties, starting with the Leasties. Least likely to happen, Meredith falling in love with Ben or Everett with Julie.
I think it's least likely that Everett would fall for Julie. It seems like a greater crime to fall for your girlfriend's sister.
Yeah, especially
I don't
that
know
quickly.
why it seems more likely that you'd fall for your boyfriend's brother, maybe because it's Luke Wilson. I don't know.
I think the Meredith and Ben makes sense because she needs someone to get her out of her tension and, let someone
Everett just seems
appreciate
maybe
her
that's it.
freak.
Everett seems so wrong for her.
Yeah.
And she seems so wrong for Everett.
Yeah, and all the siblings say that immediately. Like
Right.
Ben immediately is like, "You're not in love with her, man. Like, what the heck? Why are you doing this?" Like,
Yeah, maybe they just do a better job of explaining Sarah to us, Sarah Jessica, than Everett. Like, I don't
yeah.
really know Everett.
We
I don't know
we
what
get
he's
glimpses.
after.
We don't know.
He wants to see the totem pole. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
wants
why.
to see the monastery. Like, we're meant to see he was like this. But the whole idea is that this family is very bohemian. Kelly's a professor. It's just
Okay, yeah.
But we don't know much about Everett except he played lacrosse. He traveled.
One time.
But he works in finance. Like it's just confusing to me. Like he works in finance. He was going to go to a temple, and then he met Meredith, and that's kind of like you're like, oh, Meredith stopped him from going to the temple.
It's very weird. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, I think the Ben and Meredith makes more sense from the film going standpoint. We feel the connection better too.
Right, but still very unlikely. Like, she lives in New York.
He lives in San Francisco.
And she works in
international finance.
He lives in Berkeley, and he's
a documentary filmmaker.
It's not going to work out.
It's not going to work. Least appetizing dish: the greasy pizza or the strata egg bake.
The greasy pizza looked good. Meredith made it look bad with her gross little napkin. The strata egg bake, we never see it cooked.
That's why.
So I think that's why it never looks good.
Least Christmas movie moment: brother swap and them staying together, or I would say the hoodie shot of Dol
with the cut on the cheek.
Yeah, that felt like it was out of an action movie. It was a very strange take. It was the one take of the movie, one shot of the movie that really took me out of it. The slow motion of him smiling.
This is why I don't understand him as a person.
It's really creepy.
Like he's really weird.
Other than that, it's a Christmas movie. It's cozy all the way through. I don't think there's any other moments that don't feel like a Christmas movie.
No, everything hits, like the small town bar with, you're running into random people from high school.
Yeah.
It's classic. I haven't eaten pot brownies with my dad at the high school field, but you can see it.
Yeah. The high school, it's beautiful. Least favorite look. This is a new category thanks to Audrey being here.
Least favorite?
Yeah, your least favorite look. I have a couple here to help you. Everett's hoodie, as we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Brad's 4-colored dress shirt at the end. It's not even flannel. It just has 4 different colored patterns.
It's like a plaid?
It's like 4 different colored plaids, though.
It's so bad.
It's rough. Ben's pink collared shirt with long sleeve white shirt underneath and scarf when he first arrives.
That's really bad.
It's really bad, but it sets up the joke when Meredith's shoes are stolen and broken.
Great
color. So it's hard to hate that outfit. And then I would say Rachel McAdams' hair bump and the Christmas Eve dinner outfit.
Okay, I see what you did there, but I have to go. Well, of my choices, I select Ben's pink polo over a long sleeve white shirt. It's so triggering.
And then he does it again with another polo.
It was 2005.
Yeah, I guess it was. It was
but
2005.
Of your choices, that's the one. But the outfit that every time you're like, that you just look terrible is when Amy comes home and she's getting out of the car. She looks okay. Then she gets in the house and she's taking the layers off. And she's wearing like this
NASCAR
huge,
t-shirt.
oversized NASCAR t-shirt over like a long skirt. It just gives like you came home to do laundry.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's really an outfit, but
I love it. I love it. Okay. Least clear things. So these are things that are not fully clear in the movie that we're a little bit confused. You mentioned Millie's famous brownies. Are they pot brownies? Are we convinced that they're pot brownies?
Well, I think so, because they are eating the brownies at the football field.
Yeah, but right at the start, Ben is putting out his pipe. You see it. So they smoked pot. I don't know if they consumed it in the brownies.
Yeah, I guess we don't know.
We don't know, but when Sybil eats them right away, when he brings them home, when Kelly brings them home, she eats them right away. We know she's battling cancer, and she does feel a little goofy. Mm-hmm. Kind of when everyone comes, like she's laughing.
I just always assumed, but I never
think
thought
they
too
are.
hard about it.
I like to think that they are. It makes sense.
Right.
Another one. What does Susanna's husband do? Do we ever find that out? When he arrives late Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing full suit.
It's because people used to travel in style.
That's true. I always assumed he was a doctor or a police
so too.
officer.
Yeah, but we don't know.
Who's working.
The thing is, I don't really care.
Right.
Susanna, pretty boring.
What was Everett like the last time he was home for Christmas? Because it seems like if they haven't seen him in a year or a while, they're like, whoa.
I think he was like, well, where is he in the birth order? Is he the second oldest?
He seems like he's the second oldest, if he's the golden child.
He looks older.
Yeah.
I think he was like fun, cool, big bro.
Yeah.
I think he was like watching movies with Amy.
Yeah.
I think they were buddies.
Mm-hmm.
That lends to her being bothered by him changing and
because
bringing
she's in New
someone
York
else
as
around.
well. It seems she's living in New York.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I'm saying the last time he came home,
Yeah.
I feel like he would have been more, he's going to the dive bar with Ben, having
O'Malley's.
beers, hanging out with his little sis.
Yeah.
I think he was like cool big brother. And now he's, kind of boring, stuck up.
Yeah. Here's another Everett question. Has he been a bad boyfriend the whole time?
A bad boyfriend? I don't think so. I mean, Meredith is pretty smitten with him.
Yeah.
What are his crimes besides, trading sisters?
That's true. I don't know. It just seems like he turns on her pretty quick.
I don't think he prepared her very well.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he prepared her well.
But how can you
That's true.
explain to someone that your personality is going to cause that's
true.
What
That's
do you
true.
what do you say?
What do you say to that?
But he does say they're all going to love you, which I mean he knows they're probably not. Because then when he has that confrontation with the family and he's, slams his hand down, he's like, I expected better from you to his dad.
Yeah.
At least. I expected better
Kelly.
from you
Yeah.
at least. And he says, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So he did know that it wasn't going to be a great fit. But he doesn't really prepare
I think this
Meredith
whole thing
for
is
that.
self-sabotaging. I don't think he intends to do this. He's trying to get married. She seems like...
He's trying to create a distraction.
Yeah.
Within the family and within his own life to distract him from his mom's declining health.
Yeah. Wow. Nailed it. Therapy session for Everett. Is Julie used to everyone loving her? Is she the Morton it girl?
100% Julie is so annoying. We all don't like Julie.
Because Meredith immediately was like, she's annoyed immediately when she arrives because they're all doting on her.
They're fawning over her injury.
And she's like, boy, they like you.
Right, because, Meredith may not have been injured upon her arrival, but her designer shoe was broken and no one even cared. They're like, oh, it slapped some glue on there. Like, that was very rude. There was no empathy for Meredith and her shoe. I mean, I'm being serious.
I know. That's something that
was a crime.
In a different life, that would have happened in our relationship.
A crime was committed against Meredith. She may not have been bleeding on the outside, but... that
I
hurt.
think Julie's the younger sister that everyone loves. I'm sure
she's the golden girl. Look at her hair.
I'm sure Meredith brought home boyfriends in high school that loved her, or I'm sure she's
We all know a girl like this. She just lights up the room, and you love her until you start seeing that you're not getting that same reaction, and then it becomes frustrating.
Right, like at the dinner table, like she asked a provoking question,
Meredith,
as Dana said, about the baby's race, which is a pretty inappropriate question.
But it was very well accepted.
Yes, and then Meredith kind of tries to have another conversation and it goes horribly wrong.
It's not good.
Next is least well-aged. Least well-aged. These are the things that have not aged well in the movie. Forcing your girlfriend's sister to put on your grandmother's wedding ring. That's not aged well.
I don't think it was working well then.
No,
they were all horrified at the time of that.
Kids who steal stilettos. That has not aged well. Paper plates and napkins with pizza. Not sustainable. Not very. If they're gonna be a bohemian like hippie family, that is not aged well. That would have been all.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
That would have been all sustainable stuff. Minute Maid and Country Crock.
Country Crock.
There was like gallons of Country Crock in that fridge. Haven't seen that in a while. An in-law having a favorite coffee mug. I guess that has aged well because that's happened to you.
Your dad and I share the same favorite coffee mug, and there is controversy there.
Yes, I guess that has aged well. Maybe not. That's not the right category. Packed malls during Christmas. That's the opening shot of the movie. Is they're in a New York mall and it's very busy. It's bustling. Everyone's doing their last minute Christmas shopping at a mall.
Yeah, not something that you see. Well, I don't know. I mean, Christmas
See
shopping.
people on Amazon.
Last minute Christmas shopping
It's still a
is
thing.
still a thing. But yeah, the mall, the busy mall counter.
Yeah. But it is kind of nice to see. I do appreciate it, but we do not see that today. Not being able to find someone in a small town. I think you would, or with cell phones. Again, this movie, this is a specific era of movies, and I talked about this on the Bourne cast. There's technology. There's cell phones in this movie. There's email. We know there's email, but it's not really taking a huge part of it. As soon as you introduce smartphones, you could do a Find My Phone.
You know what's interesting? You're right. When they're at O'Malley's and Julie and Emmett are trying to find them, like, where would he have taken her? It seems kind of obvious.
It
where
does seem
where else
obvious.
would you go at night?
On Christmas Eve.
But they never. Would they just walk around downtown where everything's closed? Just they are so weird.
You're from a small town. Like,
there's only one place you can go. You go to a bar.
There's the only places in a small town that are closed, especially on a holiday. None of the storefronts are open on that main street.
No, it's nighttime.
You're either at a
is
park.
Post dinner.
Yeah, you're at a park, or you're at a bar, and there's probably like 4 bars or 3 bars in that town.
You know, it just goes to show they weren't really trying to find them.
They weren't. Least well aged. Sybil's colored MacBook. I mean, I guess that's I actually have affinity for it, but the colored desktop MacBook.
Right.
That is.
Is it called a MacBook? The big old computer?
Yeah, I think it was still.
A book.
Or I guess it's just a Mac. MacBook is the laptop.
Mac.
It's just a Mac.
The big old Mac.
Those are the same ones that in Zoolander they make the joke. It's in the computer. It's the same Mac. Least important character. I have 3. We have Julie, Susanna, and Susanna's husband.
Yeah, Susanna's husband. It wouldn't have mattered if he came or didn't come.
Just not important.
Susanna brings that more like emotional tone.
She does. She is important.
She has value. She's just not super intriguing.
Yeah. Susanna's husband definitely just did not. I'm surprised they even showed him.
It's okay.
She
It's not
could
a problem. He's just not very important.
She could have been a single mom or divorced, and I think it would have made more sense.
I don't know. I think it's completely fine. I mean, she's the one who has the emotional capacity to like maturely respond to the information that her mom is ill. You know, she
That's
doesn't
right.
tell anyone
She's
else.
one of the first.
She
Yeah.
comforts her mom. I think, you know, she's stable. She's also a mother. She's pregnant. She has a completely different mindset on all of it compared to her younger sister.
That's right.
Who's lashing out. Like, you see the difference in maturity, and I think they're painting that because, you know, she's married and, you know, having kids, is pregnant.
Yeah.
It completely changes her mindset in the way that she treats her family.
Yeah.
So I think her being married has value. Her husband just, you know, doesn't have a role in the movie, which is fine. He doesn't have to.
He has one joke.
I mean,
he has one joke.
I don't think
Who's Amy making out with in the,
in the
ambulance?
I don't think it's a bad thing because it's a big cast of characters,
Yeah.
and we get the brother-in-law with Thad's husband. We don't need another brother-in-law.
Yeah.
There's only room for one.
Susanna would go on to play another mother in the Twilight franchise 4 years later.
Iconic.
All right, least important scene. It's just any scene with Everett and Julie. The totem pole conversation, looking for Meredith. It's pretty bad.
Every year it's harder and harder.
It's harder. That's on the rewatch. It gets tough to get through that. Thankfully, I think it's the editors of this movie did a great job because they realized that was such a bad scene and just like no one really cares, and they cut it with one of the best scenes, which is the dive bar at O'Malley's. All right, moving on to besties. Best Stone, meaning this is not a best rock. It's the best family member of the Stones. We have Thad, who's a great character, Kelly and Ben, Sybil. I think we know who wins this. It's Patrick.
Hands down.
It's Patrick. You know, he's an in-law. He's an outlaw. But Patrick knows everything. It's why he's drinking throughout the movie.
He's the only one who's got that glass of red on hand.
He's got that glass of red while they're having pizza and everyone's drinking Coca-Cola. No, he knows. He knows. And he is the first one in the film the first one to realize Sybil is sick again?
He is constantly cooking, constantly cleaning,
Yep.
keeping the peace, being a good sport.
Great sport.
And final scene of the movie, the next year's Christmas, what's he doing? He's driving. He's unloading the car. He's brought groceries.
To his father-in-law, who's
and you know what? He's also
a widower.
He's lived and learned. Guess who was always staying at the inn?
Yeah, Patrick and Thad were at the inn.
Patrick was like, I am not staying with these people. I am staying at the inn. And it's not even debated. It's not like, it's a big deal when Meredith goes there. But with Patrick, it's like, nobody questions Patrick. He needs to be protected at all costs. And everybody understands that.
Yeah, I would say if you are dating or you're serious with somebody or maybe you just were married, you're in that phase of life, watch this movie and study Patrick. It is a master class in being an in-law or being a partner coming to a family's house. Stay under the radar, be supportive, help with the chores,
earn the respect of the matriarch.
Know who's the decision maker in the family.
He's not a brown noser.
No.
He calls Sybil out.
He does.
When she's yelling about who moved the coffee pot, who put all this stuff on my desk, and he does that to her like, hey, you better get it together. And she goes, okay. He's the only one who can really get through to her.
Right. And we don't know how many years. It seems like he's been around for a long time.
Well, they do say, because Amy is like, I love you. And they're like, that took years.
So he's been around for a long time. So we're seeing the results of a lot of hard work and dedication.
He's nailed it.
But again, study this. It is a masterclass in how to be an in-law in a family and doing the X's, all the fundamentals, right?
Is he a Stone? We don't know his last name.
We don't know. I don't think that I didn't notice if they had wedding rings.
Well, I'm just saying I don't know what his last name is.
It's in the actual credits. He's listed as Patrick Thomas. So
so he's not a Stone.
So I guess he's not a Stone. So we are kind of cheating on this category. But besides him, who would you say? I love Ben.
I love Ben too, but I mean Kelly's great.
He's great.
He's such a good dad.
Yeah.
He's such a great husband, actually, is what I would say. We were talking about that
while we were watching.
When we were watching everybody asks questions at different times of like, would you rather, if you had to, would you rather be burned alive or drown? You do these things in your mind. And then the other question of, would you rather have a quick death or know ahead of time? And I don't know, we were talking about that and the concept of having that elongated end of life. You see the sadness affecting the other people. It's not just about Sybil's experience.
Yeah.
And how gracious her husband Kelly is when they're lying in bed and they're talking about Everett and she's saying that she's worried about him and I'm not going to be there as he goes through this because this isn't going to end well and he's, it's going to be bad and I won't be able to help him. And Kelly's reassuring her, we'll be okay. We'll all be okay. That's such a burden to have to ease her pain while he's obviously, of course, also suffering through the pain as well. It's so sad.
It is so sad.
And he's so sweet and supportive and obviously working around the clock because this is also around the scene where you see Everett goes past his mom's bedroom. She's reading in bed and you get that shot of him in the doorframe. And on the dresser, there's a container of spackle and a spackling knife. Kelly, he's working on this old house constantly trying to keep things running. I don't know. Maybe that's Sybil. Maybe she's doing it. But I'm just saying they've got a big house, a big family, lots of dynamics. He's really keeping pretty calm. Even he's the one who discovers Meredith in Ben's room. And he stays very low-key.
Very calm.
I don't think he ever actually does anything about it. It comes to a head quite quickly after.
Yes, which we'll talk about. Best look, Amy's red sweater at the end, which she transforms from the Gen Z brat look with the NASCAR T-shirt and the glasses, and then the next Christmas you see her She's a little bit more glammed up. It's kind of the joke. I said this when we were watching it, is trying to make Rachel McAdams look slovenly.
Right.
It is probably one of the hardest jobs of the movie. Like, they try to make her kind of look like this.
Oh, right. When she steps outside, when Brad comes to the front door and she's meant to have just like woken up, and she's a movie star. She looks like a movie star.
And then
she's
they
gorgeous.
finally they actually give her a decent outfit, and she looks,
You're like, oh,
incredible.
you're an adult now.
You're an adult, and she looks great. You really like Meredith's trouser and blouse that she wears at the dive bar.
Well, in the context, it's after she takes her vest off.
Oh,
and
she had a vest.
She was wearing
Okay.
a buttoned up vest originally with like a silky blouse like billowing underneath. And then as the beers continue to flow, the vest is removed. And she obviously didn't intend for that outfit because she's got her black bra showing through and she's my favorite version of Meredith.
It's good. It's probably the closest we get to Carrie, like a Carrie look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah. But it is kind of a symbolic transformation. Both Everett and Meredith, they start the movie very tight clothing, pulled together, and tightly wound couple. And then as they start to unwind and loosen and let go,
does actually let her hair down physically.
Literally. So it's very symbolic of that. Patrick's coats, anytime Patrick is walking from the outside to the inside, he has just great fits. I mean, throughout the whole movie, he looks great.
I think in the last, it's like a collared leather number, and the first time he gets to the house, it's a shearling jacket and scarf. I mean,
incredible.
Just, again, do as Patrick does.
Exactly. And then I have Sybil's robe, scarf, and collared shirt on Christmas morning.
No, that's Diane Keaton.
That's Diane Keaton. That's Coastal Grandmother. That's the...
No. Diane Keaton is not Coastal Grandmother. She is in a whole field of her own. She doesn't give grandmother. Diane Keaton is notorious for always covering her neck. She's either always wearing a turtleneck, a popped collar, or a scarf. She has amazing style.
Yeah, she does. Best trinket in the house. You said the spackle, which I think was a great catch.
Oh, I wouldn't have called that a trinket.
Little things in the house. We were talking about how this is like the antithesis of a Nancy Meyers movie. It feels like a Nancy Meyers movie because it's cozy, it's well shot, you have great actors, it's a family drama, but it's not perfect.
It's too messy.
It's like Nancy Meyers' younger sister or cousin.
That kitchen is
Julie
cozy,
Myers.
but it's not beautiful.
No. We watched The Holiday as well this week. You compare and contrast similar era of movies, actually, big cast, very different. Very different style.
Trinkets in the house. I like that they have the old school phone under the staircase, the phone room.
The phone room, yes. That's a nice touch.
With the cord phone.
I like Amy's bedroom because it is obviously was the attic. And you can see kind of the kind of gross ceiling. We noticed Ben's matchbook collection in a vase.
And Ben's bed is two twins pushed together.
Yes, that's incredible catch.
That's the childhood room turned trying to make it an adult.
Ben's room is amazing. That's like my dream room.
It's very accurate though, because you have this impression they have this big, gorgeous old house, but Kelly's a professor.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily a severely wealthy family, which you can tell by the interior of the house. Of course it's beautiful, but I mean, yeah, they're not replacing the childhood bed turning into a guest room.
Right. Right. One of my favorite catches of that movie when I think about trinkets or things in that house, there's a pumpkin craft hanging up in the background near Sybil's office. And that is the special touch of, yes, she has a grandkid that probably made that for her. She hung it during Halloween, but as we know, Halloween it's a snap and it's Christmas. Mm-hmm. And of course that would still be hanging up. It's this nice touch that just feels really authentic and accurate.
I also like the doorway of the kitchen, the door frame. There's a ribbon tacked up, and then they staple all the Christmas cards to the ribbon.
Yes.
How to display the Christmas cards.
Amazing. Best aging things. So these are things that have aged well. Mm-hmm. Family comedies and rom-coms, specifically this movie. I think most movies like this that were made today, and there's some decent ones, but they're Netflix movies. They are shot in Canada. No offense to Canada. They're cheaply done. There's no
Was this movie shot in film?
shot in film, shot in location. We just don't have the big budget family drama, Christmas drama. It's just, I get it. It's not like financially, it doesn't make sense anymore. Like people aren't going to go to the theaters to see an adult family Christmas
I would.
comedy dramedy. Yeah, this movie has aged so well, and I think there's a timelessness to this because of the time it was made. There's not a lot of technology. The soundtrack, the actors shooting on film on location. I would like more of these movies to be made. Another thing that's aged well is the poster of this movie. Now, the DVD is also great.
It's that classic white background with the squares of the faces.
Yeah, that's great. But the actual poster, the film poster, it's all white. It's the Family Stone, and it is Meredith, or I guess this is Julie's hand with the ring on it, and it's like sticking up like it's supposed to look like a middle finger.
Right.
And it's
yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, it's actually such a well-designed movie poster, and it tells you everything you need to know about the movie.
Well, and it also always made me think like, oh, it's about the diamond.
Yeah.
Because it's the family's stone.
Oh, I never caught that.
Yeah.
And it says Feel the Love. That's kind of, it has the actor's name, and it says Feel the Love, which is great. So I think that's aged really well. It's a great poster. Eating cereal.
Aged very well.
Kelly apologizing, going to the inn and apologizing to Julie and Meredith.
What a guy.
Class act. Charades, of course. I think the modern version of that is Catchphrase or Apples to Apples. It might be different, but I think Charades is still great. When Kelly says just stockings to his granddaughter.
Yes.
That's aged well. I remember that being a thing. Like, okay, we're just going to start with stockings, especially when you're gathering with a bunch of family.
You don't have to wait. Yeah.
Volvos. We noticed that Amy's driving the vintage Volvo, quote unquote, the old Volvo that she probably inherited,
right.
And then Kelly's got like more the newer one.
I think the concept that like a family has a certain car in the family.
Brand.
There was a few years there my family went full Subaru.
Yeah.
And me and all my siblings were driving Subarus. It's just so funny.
Amy's ragged NPR tote that we first see with her.
So good.
And she's a teacher, so it fits. Kelly's dad grabbed to Ben's shoulder after he like kind of
it's a neck.
It's a neck grab. It is so visceral, and I'm like, I know exactly how that feels.
You are in trouble.
You're in trouble. It's not violent. It's just very serious.
I would say firm.
It's firm. That's a good way to say it. Diane Keaton's laugh, of course, and smile. Just
Diane Keaton.
And just Diane Keaton in general.
Timeless.
We've mentioned all of these. These are all Patrick related. Patrick emailing his mother's recipe to Sybil and cooking all the meals.
Patrick literally enters the home and, I don't know, has an interaction with Sybil, and he's like, I've already emailed you the recipe this morning. Now, we don't know where they live. It seems as though they've traveled. He's packed the car, like I've already mentioned. He's been up early emailing Sybil, getting recipe. Ugh.
It's great. Patrick drinking wine the entire time. Patrick and Thad staying in the inn, of course.
Just Patrick and Thad, their relationship has aged really well, I would
Right.
say, like to Dana's point.
Yeah.
Where I think that's just as important to have in movies now as it was then.
Right.
It's still not as common of a dynamic to see.
Especially in movies.
And not just that they're there, because sometimes it feels like, there's an effort to include varieties of people and types of relationships and things, and they're just there.
Yeah.
But they're never expanded on. Like, of course, there's going to be complexities with that relationship within this family, and they get into it. They have that really awkward dinner. It's so well done. I mean, also to Dana's point, some of the things said during that dinner not aged well.
It's not aged well, but it's also part of the tension of the movie.
It's very raw,
Yeah.
like we've heard people say things like that.
Right. And we've all been in situations I mean, hopefully not you've been in that situation where someone is trying to argue their way out of a point they've made.
Right.
Whether it's intentional or whether it's to shock and awe.
You're trying to save yourself. And she does ultimately just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Which is the most important thing.
But then she starts again. Oh,
we've all been there. It's still it's the contents of it hasn't aged well, but the dynamics of a meal like that have aged well. And
it's giving the bear.
It is giving the bear. It definitely is, where you feel the underlying tension.
The throwing of the fork.
The throwing of the fork, the slamming of the hand.
No, in the bear.
Oh yeah, that's right. I never thought about that.
Right.
Maybe that's where they got it from. All right, best Christmas movie moment. I have Kelly saying goodnight to Susanna while she's watching the old movie, and
My Susanna.
My Susanna. Ugh. That is, to me, that's that whole interaction of him saying goodnight, her saying, "You're kidding, it's my favorite part." That feels very real. Symbolic. And I feel like that's exactly what your dad would say, "My Susanna." That feels like
sweet.
It's so sweet. Meredith's gift, of course, is another one where she gives the gift of the Sybil's photo, and kind of that's when the emotions come out.
Wait, which category are you on now?
Best Christmas movie moment.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And then I have the movie starting out with Sybil looking at the tree, decorating the tree, and then ending with Amy looking and decorating the tree. I think the Kelly saying goodnight that's Christmas. That's the most authentic Christmas, because everyone's hanging out, or some people, hopefully in your holiday there aren't people who have disappeared, but like some people went to the bar, some people, are cleaning up from the meal, some people are watching the Christmas movie. It's kind of, everyone's kind of like around but scattered in their different sections, and you have a little nice quiet moment with the dad and the sister.
You're talking about all of these sweet Christmas moments. I think there's also classic Christmas moments, like going to O'Malley's.
Yes.
That could be Thanksgiving too, where it's very much home for the holidays type of scene.
Right. And I guess the charades too, the pizza and the charades, that feels very Christmas.
Totally.
There's a lot of them. I don't know if I could pick one, but that line.
There's something also, it's the scene when Meredith and Everett arrive and like pulling up to the house, and it's very snowy and crisp and cold, and you're dressed formally for the holiday. I have that tactile
that feeling of coming home.
Well, not necessarily even home, like more to an in-laws or
Right.
to a party or a Christmas event where, you're dolled up, you're ready to go. It's cold out. I don't know. It's very tactile to me.
Best line. There's a lot of lines.
Best line.
One I'm going to give a little context on is about the mushrooms in the strata. I didn't know. So when this is, again, you fact check this if you want to really get accurate, but apparently when this is happening, it was just a one-off take that Sarah Jessica Parker did, and if you watch Luke Wilson, he like smiles and laughs, and it was a genuine laugh, which makes sense.
Yeah, she's so good.
Also, Patrick was in the kitchen, and he was, now I'm going to give Patrick the benefit of the doubt. He was very busy, but he didn't notice the mushrooms until later. Like, he would have seen her put in the mushrooms or have the mushrooms out.
He was busy. No.
He was busy.
He can't.
I don't know. That's some people say like,
no.
he.
No, Patrick cannot do everything. He can't be responsible for everything. He has to pay attention to everyone's food restrictions now too, and be the only one cleaning and cooking. It's too much.
It's too much. Yes, I'm being myself. Meredith says on the phone.
So good.
Ben says, "We're all going to be down here talking about you," which is very much a trailer line. I am not a completely ridiculous person. That feels genuine. That feels when you're in a group of people that is very different from you, with your partner, and you're saying, I'm not crazy.
Right.
You guys are crazy.
The one that comes to my mind, which I'm sure you're going to say, that I don't love this phrase, but it's appropriate when Ben says to Meredith, thing is, you got a freak flag. You just don't fly it.
It's the best. It probably is the best for me. A couple other ones when Sybil's talking about Poppy and Amy's cherry.
That's so good.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Is that not accurate? When Ben, we'll talk about it in best scenes, when he's outside the car when they're leaving on Christmas Eve morning, and he kind of sticks his hand in his pants and he says, "What a day."
That's so good.
Sybil has a lot of great ones, obviously. Stick a silver spoon up any monkey's butt and it's bound to have manners. Tough shit. I know you're disappointed, but think how I feel.
I don't think that's the line Sybil says. It's like, stick a silver spoon up any monkey's butt and it's bound to say please and thank you.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Whoa. From
Wow,
the
you
vault.
really knew that. Obviously, from the bar scene, there's so much good stuff, but I love if we could figure out how to get a little pot. It's so the delivery of that is amazing. Of course, go ahead.
I always thought that they were cops when they first came in.
Yeah.
You don't realize that they're EMTs.
They're EMTs.
Because they've got like the badge and the jacket. And I was always like, oh my gosh, she says it in front of cops.
No.
Which would be even better.
That would be even better. She's nice like this, isn't she?
Yeah.
One of our favorite lines. It's actually a comedic line too, because it's, we have a dog here. If you're watching on YouTube, I actually say that about the dog.
He's nice like this when he's asleep.
Yeah, when they're asleep, where you have any rambunctious person. It's really beautiful. Of course, the big interaction on Christmas morning where Everett finds out that his mom's sick, and she says, "I'm sick, honey, and you can't fix it, not even by getting married." It's a tearjerker. That's me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what about Sybil to Meredith after they get the gift? And she says, "You did good."
You did good. Also, that's me and you, kid. Such a good one from that scene.
Much emotion.
And then Sarah Jessica Parker has some fun ones leading up from that moment. Isn't there anybody that loves me? And then big head bitch from Bedford. It's so well written.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we have to wrap it up with Patrick. Towards the end of the film, Sybil's staring out. Yes, Sybil's staring outside. The snow is falling.
It's time.
It's time.
No, he says, "It's time.
It's ready.
It's ready."
Sybil, sweetie, it's ready.
The fact that he calls her sweetie.
And then Sybil says it's snowing. What's your favorite out of all those?
I mean, you just said like the whole movie. I don't know.
We can't pick. All right, best performance.
I think I'm still thinking about favorite lines. I wish I knew more of the quotes about when Julie's talking about the totem pole. When she's
least favorite lines.
He had never carved a thing in his life. And it was just so amazing. It took him 5 years. It's like, why? Why would this man who's never carved anything in his life make this totem pole for the island community?
Listen, she approved that grant from the Rockefeller Center or the Rockefeller Foundation.
Oh, and then he's like, "I'd like to see that someday." And she's like, "It's there for you." It's just what's
I don't know.
going
The
on?
totem pole is a euphemism, I think.
Is that all just foreplay?
I think so. I think it's just euphemism.
Is that why it's so uncomfortable to watch?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. What were you going to say?
Best performance. I think Sarah Jessica Parker, Craig T. Nelson, Diane Keaton.
Agreed.
Those are kind of the top ones.
I think Amy Adams has a great performance. Because you talk about
Rachel McAdams.
Whoa, that's so weird.
I'm sure Amy Adams was up for this role.
Well, because her character's name is Amy.
Yeah.
That's so confusing. Okay, I meant Rachel McAdams. You talk about this is at the same time that she was doing The Notebook. She was a leading lady. And she's playing this immature role.
It's very different from some other roles she was doing at the time.
Yeah, same with Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, she couldn't be less.
Like Carrie, her most known.
Yeah, I mean, she's not likable. Yeah. Both of them are playing these unlikable characters, and they're playing them really well. I mean, I still like them both a lot. So, like, not, they didn't go too far. Yeah,
well, they're all redeemable. And it's a great cast. It's a great collective.
I mean, Carrie is pretty annoying and infuriating, but she's just like so cool.
So cool. Best scene.
I think Ben also
Luke
Wilson has a great performance, but guess what? He's just playing Luke Wilson.
But he does. That's why you cast him.
Yeah.
That's why you cast him.
Okay, what was next?
Best scene. This is really tough because the movie kind of flows together. So I have it kind of categorized. Christmas Eve morning. That's where you get the morning coffee. You get Ben revealing his dream, standing outside in the car. You get Everett freaking out, which is probably the biggest overacting in the movie.
No, I got my scene.
And then you have the dad talk, and then the tough shit. That's all Christmas Eve morning.
Okay. You can't recap the whole movie again.
Okay. And
no.
Go ahead.
Just let me tell you my favorite scene. Okay. It's definitely Meredith fleeing the Christmas morning. Nobody loves me. Doesn't anybody love me?
Yeah.
Rushing to the kitchen, which I really understand her in this moment. In times of stress, sometimes you want to just do.
Yes.
Like, what can you do? I think her reaction after the dinner to flee the home was probably a better choice for her after for her to flee the home. But instead she flees to Strata.
Yeah. Strata calls her.
And then, the swinging door, knocking the strata, all the ladies finally coming together in the raw egg. And then, the brothers running around. It's like what's the word?
Culmination.
Yeah.
It's the culmination of the movie. The strata fight, spill fight.
It's just so good.
It's the best part of the movie because it builds up all from
and the
Christmas
resolution
morning.
is there, and everyone's finally like not arguing.
It's the release, right? It's the release. It's like Diane Keaton's laughing. It's truly the peak of the movie.
Come on, man.
Don't even love her.
No. It's so much softer than that. You don't even love her because it's not aggressive.
It's a good brother fight, I do have to say. It's
slap.
accurate. It's kind of like the slappy, just like
this is
chasing
new.
around.
This is a nice jacket.
Nice jacket. I have to throw there kind of consolation prizes. The dive bar O'Malley's we talked about, and then I really love the bleacher scene with Ben and Kelly. Just a father-son. That really means a lot for me. Having those moments where, especially Ben is kind of like everything's fine, man, and then he really is able to like just cry on his dad's shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, Emmett gets that scene with his mom too. You're right. This movie does a good job of sharing the emotion through the characters.
Right.
Like the sons are experiencing grief and pain and confusion. All of them are, and they show each character going through that.
Yeah.
And that's true. You don't always see that opportunity for
and it's cool to see like Ben. He says it's worse this time, and Kelly kind of tries to pivot a little bit, but Ben knows pretty early on. Everett's really the last to figure it out, which is interesting.
Yes, but his reaction to his mom telling him is so immediate. You can tell that he's been holding it in.
Yeah.
Like so tight. Like for him to just immediately,
I guess with Amy as well,
have extreme emotion and cry so hard.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have to think twice. His mom, as she's saying the words, he's breaking down.
Yeah.
They all knew.
Yeah.
Well, Amy didn't know. Did anybody even tell her?
That's the thing. We don't see Amy, but she seems to know because
when she gets the Christmas gift.
When she gets the gift, she starts breaking down. So she knows.
Yeah. The sisters, they knew. They just
knew. Well, Patrick knew first.
What do you mean? When was that?
Because Patrick tells Susanna she's taking a nap, and he said that it's a great inflection of it, and then Susanna knows.
Ugh.
It's the emotions, the humor, it's all there. All right, we got to rate this one. Typically, we have a specific out of 5. We don't do stars here. We like to adjust it for the film. So I'm going to say out of 1 to 5 stratas. How do you rate this movie?
Are you calling it a strata? It's just strata.
Out of 5 stratas. So there's 5 dishes. 5 of the egg dishes.
With or without mushroom?
That's preference.
Oh, dealer's choice. It's a 5 strata for me.
It's a 5 strata for me as well.
Can you not tell how seriously I take this movie?
Yes, we love it. Audrey, thanks for going on this adventure, going on this Christmas spectacular here on Least Important Things. It was really fun to talk about this movie.
There's nothing I'd rather do than watch The Family Stone with you and Cy and the Christmas tree. I mean, this is perfect.
Have a happy holiday season from Least Important Things. All of us here at Least Important Things. Enjoy the holiday season. We hope it is not filled with spilling strata and is filled with emotional, happy moments with your family.